Hi everyone, welcome to another brand new episode of the TheOutlier Podcast. Today I have Rob with me. Hi Rob, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
Doing good, Rob. As we're talking about wrapping up work before the GAC and the FinTech meetup, both of us. So this week is pure crazy, right? So that's what I can tell you.
Yes, absolutely. This week going into two back-to-back conferences is going to be a crazy week prepping for all of them and getting all the stuff done
Yes,
before heading out.
absolutely. And firstly, Rob, thank you for taking time out
My
to meet
pleasure.
us today, right? I mean, this podcast is designed to honor outliers, and I strongly feel that you're one of the outliers in the credit union ecosystem because of seeing the ecosystem outside credit unions. I mean, you've spent considerable amount of years across banks, healthcare, now in credit unions. I'll do a quick introduction for everyone who Rob is. Rob is the Chief Strategy Officer of ChartPay Federal Credit Union, a seasoned technologist turned a Chief Strategy Officer, I would say. Rob leaves strategy, marketing, some part of technology for ChartPay. Rob, in case I haven't done justice, which most of the case I don't do usually, right? Why don't you add something and fill up the missing parts?
Sure. So I've been at Charlie for 8 years. I'm the Executive Vice President and Chief Strategy Officer. So I am over IT marketing, digital banking, data analytics, and innovation, and then overall corporate strategy here for Chartway.
That's a lot of work. Now, let me ask you a question. So, since there's a lot of work, so what keeps you going? That's a basic question. I mean, do you think 24 hours is enough for you to function? Because with so many functions, I wouldn't have done it.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. Part of what keeps me going is my team. I have a great team that works for me. So it's without them, I would totally not have enough time in the day. But I mean, honestly, what keeps me going day in and day out is I would say I'm a credit union purist. I truly believe in the mission of what we're doing. I've been in the industry for 14 years now. I don't have any plans of leaving. I love it. It's home now. But I really do believe that the credit unions are here to serve a demographic and a group of individuals that banks can't or don't want to serve. And I think we truly play an important role in the fabric of society, making sure that people are financially sound and financially healthy. And I love it. And so being able to make sure that we're able to take care of our members and our communities keeps me going every day.
All right, that's fantastic, right? Now let's talk about your journey a bit, Rao. I mean, you've got a unique journey, right?
Hmm.
Not someone who started as a teller and became a CSO. You have a very different journey because you came from technology, then technology at banks, then at call centers, contact centers, and then to healthcare.
Yep.
So you definitely are someone who's seen the outside world very closely, right? So what has been your journey so far? You want to just chat about your journey and talk about it a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've spent probably close to 30 years in technology, like you said, across multiple industries, which I love because it gives me a perspective, I think, that's a little bit different than some other people. I've seen the use of technology from doing international call centers and the work you do there and how you can then take that and apply it somewhere else. I was a networking guy for many years. And really understood that part of technology. And so today I don't touch that anymore, but it really is a foundation of how do I approach from a marketing standpoint? How do I approach from a strategy standpoint? I really do fall back on the years I've spent working in IT and really making sure that everything is defined and understood really well, because it's one small mistake in a technology standpoint, everything breaks. And so it really is a foundation that I rely on day in and day out.
That's pretty interesting, right? About your journey. This is very unique. Now let's deep dive onto your leadership style of philosophy because you've been leading. I mean, you've been talking about that. The reason you're being successful is because of your team. You've got a fabulous team altogether, right? So What's your leadership approach, Rob? So, what are your leadership approach when it comes to building and executing strategy? Because strategy on paper is as good as nothing. Right? You have to go and execute it. I'm a huge believer in execution. So, what is your leadership approach, and how do you make it happen?
Collaboration is the answer to that. Strategy, if it's only in the mind of one person, is going to get you nowhere. The strategy for the organization has to be just that. It has to be organizational wide. It has to have input and buy-in from everyone, top down. And I would say that's my approach. I mean, when we do a strategic plan, we're on a 5-year strategic plan right now. It's not something I came up with. It's something that I spent a lot of time with my peers. We talked about what was going on in everyone's world. Where did we see ourselves going? Where did we need to be in 5 years to be successful? And that's really how we put that plan together. And then once it was there, we also took it out to the entire business. I've gone around to almost every department in the organization, walked through the strategic plan, talked about how each individual person's role impacts that plan and the say they have in our success of the plan. And I think it's getting that top-down buy-in has to be there. Otherwise, it's literally just words on the paper.
Absolutely. I think, I being a data scientist, I'm also a consultant, right? So I'm a huge fan when I talk about execution. I mean, I don't believe in presentations. I mean, that's the last thing I want. I mean, don't show me decks and pages. Show me execution plans. Show me actual numbers. I think that's where we gel in. That's absolutely on point. Now, obviously, you being a technologist, you're a numbers guy for sure, because unless you understand numbers, you cannot do technology and strategy. So I have a question, right? A combination of a quantitative as well as qualitative question, because you cannot measure success always with numbers, because it's again qualitative at times, right? Like for example, marketing can be brand awareness. How do you measure it? I mean, it's very difficult, right? So my question intertwined with that is, as a CSO, right? How do you define success for Chartway if you look at a broader horizon of like 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I would say one thing I know for sure is that I have no idea what success will look like in 10 years. That is so far out, and there's so many things changing from what's going on in regulation and those kind of things to cybersecurity to technology to fintechs. It's 10 years out to me. It's like crystal ball kind of voodoo. 5 years, from our standpoint, we really are looking at how do we make sure that we have sustained growth. And it's not growth for growth's sake, but it really is how do we make sure that we are delivering what we need to for our members, growing so that we have scale. I really do believe that in order to serve members 5 years from now, you're going to have some level of economies of scale. It's too expensive to compete with big banks who have $500 million annual budgets to spend in R&D. We've got to be able to make sure we have that scale. We definitely need to make sure that we are approaching things digital first. I think if we want to be successful 5 years from now, it's everything our members want to do, they can do from the palm of their hand. And they can do it easily. My VP of digital says everything we need to get to needs to be 2 clicks. So we're not there today, but that's what we're looking at is how do we get it down from taking 10, 15 minutes to get something done to it takes 2 minutes. And to your background, my background as well from the data side, we have the data. It's how do we integrate it into our systems and use it the right way. And then I think the other thing from us from a strategy standpoint is really how do we make sure we are serving all of the members in our communities. We have a big multicultural strategy that we are working on to make sure there aren't any members that are forgotten. And we have measurements around that we look at to make sure 5 years from now, we want to be able to say that truly all of the members in our communities have the availability and the means to take care of themselves financially. And that is definitely one of the measures we'll be using to understand if we hit our strategy.
You try to summarize, Rob, this. I can find 3 broad points. One is experience. Now, I keep on talking about this to multiple credit unions every single day. It takes me 2.5 minutes, right, for me to go and create a checking account, right, in Chime. If I go to Chime, it takes like 2.5 minutes. That's all. When will a progressive credit union give me that experience? that it takes me 2.5, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, but it has to still happen. I mean, I'm one of the huge and the biggest supporters of credit unions because I believe in the movement, and I came from big banks. I came from the top banks, right? So I think that's what you talked about is experience. And there's a study that happened, and it's a very common study. I'm forgetting the numbers, but the rate of application abandonment increases multi-fold. I think it becomes 4x or 5x more if the time increases from 5 to 10 minutes. Because no one has that attention span. I think that's what you're trying to dovetail into is experience. How can you make it easier, swifter, more actionable? That's one. And second, use of data. We talked about, right? I mean, how can data analytics be used for growth, right? Because at the end of the day, members don't want to be sold. Members want to be serviced with the right product at the right time, and not bothering them with 10 different channels, but with the channel they want to hear from you, right? Now, the second thing and third, what I understand is inclusivity, right? If I'm not wrong, that you want to be inclusive across the community, not losing the touch of why the credit union ecosystem exists altogether, right? So,
Yes.
Am I correct in summarizing this question in these three buckets, or do you want to add something more?
No, I think that's a great summarization of it. And I will tell you, if you want to open a checking account in 2 minutes, head out to Chartway's website. You can do that with us today. Through integrations we've done with partners and fintechs, we went from probably close to 10 to 12 minutes to open a new account down to less than 3. So it can be done, but to your point, it's a focus and it has to be a strategy.
Absolutely right. And my next question dovetails into exactly relevance. Right now, I get the mission vision of credit unions. We are fantastic. But at the end of the day, it's not like we are competing against the credit union next door. But we have to start accepting the fact that yes, we are competing against the Chimes of the world or the Revoluts of the world, and we are competing against the Wall Street banks. Mm-hmm. That's real, right? I mean, I take this number very loosely, but this is an actual number. Chase spends $15 billion every year for technology spends. And if you look at our ecosystem, the top 20 credit unions don't have, that's the only sliver you have which has asset size more than that. Essentially, right. If you're trying to compete with a Truist or a Chase or a Wells around your footprint, it's not a competition of an apple and apple, it's apple to orange, because these guys are completely different, right? So now my question to that is, what do you think, the credit union ecosystem needs to do differently to stay competitive and relevant? Because unless we do that, couple of things, right? I'm 31, I'm like 31, 32. Attracting younger members is difficult one. And second, I would say retaining even the millennials who are exposed or who are spoiled with choices, even that's difficult. Attraction and retention will be difficult. So what do you think we should do differently altogether?
Yeah, I would say from an industry standpoint, we need to figure out how to become less risk averse. We need to be able to challenge ourselves and take a chance on things. And it doesn't mean like crazy wild bets, but we can't continue to do things the way we've always done things. We can't rely on the conversation that says the reason members come to credit unions is because of our customer service. There's great companies out there doing customer service, and more as things move digital, members won't have direct interaction with our team members. And so I do think we have to become more collaborative with each other, as well as with other companies. And I'm a big believer, obviously, in fintechs. We've done investing in fintechs. We'll continue to do so, and I think that's a part of what the credit union industry needs to really take hold of. Is we've got to see fintechs as partners. We need to partner with them, and we need to invest in them so they have operating capital to be able to do the things that we can't do. Individually, we will never be able to compete technology-wise exactly because of what you just said. The budget of our competitors is so much larger than ours. But really, if we look at some of the great fintechs out there, partnering with them gives us that strategic advantage that we need to be able to compete. And I think as an industry, we need to be more open to, one, having the conversations, two, finding the resources to implement, And three, continuing to put capital into those fintechs so that they can continue to grow and thrive, and be able to pivot quickly. So, I mean, that really is kind of how I see what we need to do from an industry standpoint.
The industry needs more leaders like you. That's the conclusion I would say.
Thank you.
Because this is table stakes now, Rob, right? I mean, collaboration with fintech, yes or no, was maybe a question 5 years, 10 years back. Now it's like table stakes. Unless you do it, I mean, basic examples. Let's talk about underwriting, right? Unless you have AI-driven underwriting, how can you even compete with a fintech that's offering a personal loan within 30 seconds?
Right.
So these are table stakes. But yes, it's great to hear from you about your mindset, and I hope a lot of people echo the same thing and get to hear this more, right? I know I want to be respectful of your time, Rob. I want to ask you one quick parting questions, I would say, right?
Okay.
Now, we talked a lot about innovation, right? Need of fintechs coming into the equation, need of using data, improving experiences, I would package it as making the credit union experience more sexy, for the lack of better words, right?
Sure.
So how do you balance this experience that we dream of or we are trying to do with the core values of a credit union? Because the core values are very different. We are not a street band that we have to report financials to the street. We are not that, right? We are member driven, and we always think of one single mission and vision: people helping people, no matter what, right?
Right.
So how do you balance these two, and how do you think it should look like?
Yeah, I mean, from my standpoint, really, I mean, here at Charlie, we really operate under the principle we have 4 values. It's relationships, differences, community, and quality. And so if you look at those 4 values and then you think about innovation, innovation fits really well into those. We can't take care of our communities. We don't have a quality product if we're doing the things the same way we did 10, 15 years ago. We're not understanding the differences between people if we treat everyone the same. And in order to treat people differently, the way they want to be treated, I've got to have that data. I've got to know who they are, and I have to know how they want to be treated. And so really leaning on innovation is what allows us to really focus on the values that we have. It's branches matter. We're going to have branches, but they're going to evolve over time, and they're going to do different things. Less people are coming in to cash a check. More people are coming in because they really want to sit down and have education and understand the financial system. And so really, if we don't innovate, we're not following the core values of a credit union, which is to be there for the people that need us. Their needs are going to change over time. We have to change over time.
That's really a well positioned and summed up answer. So again, thank you for spending your time with us today. I really appreciate this time, and I hope your forward thinking mission and vision reaches more ears, right? And people actually think through like you, because without this thought process, we'll never be able to, one, compete with the external ecosystem, and second, never be able to become better version of yourselves with the same compassion and the same mission across the way, right? So Rob, again, thank you. Appreciate your time today.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.